and welcome to another episode of the Dgmg podcast. My name is Zoe Lulinski, and today I am just thinking we'll do a preview of the Week 5 games. And before we get into everything, I just want to say you should be able to find these full episodes on YouTube with a recording. I'm not going to be posting the full video here on Spotify all the time, and that's just another outlet for you guys to reach this podcast at. I'm also going to be hoping to get this on some other sites like Apple Music here soon. I'm working to try to get that going. Today we'll just be talking about previews. The Thursday night game is tomorrow at the time of this recording, and then just some of my thoughts leading into this week. The Thursday night games I'm super excited about. It's the Buccaneers against the Falcons, a big AFC South matchup. They're both super equal in my opinion. The Falcons are 2-2 and the Buccaneers are 3-1. Both have looked really solid. Their position rankings are all super close. The Buccaneers are ranked top 10 in passing, so that will be a big thing to watch there in the game. But super exciting. Kirk Cousins against Baker Mayfield. Two solid quarterbacks. It's going to be a super exciting matchup to watch. And then some big news that just came out earlier in the week. I think Tuesday or Wednesday. Davante Adams requested a trade, and I'm not fully surprised about this. I feel like it's been a long time coming. Even last year, he has not been happy on the Raiders since he got there, and I think it's something he probably came to really regret. But I have some thoughts on where I think he could land. I wanted to get this out there before any news happened to get my thoughts on it. But as much as I hate to say this, I think it would be really cool to see him go back to the Packers. Go back to where he started, finish off his career there as he's getting a bit older, get to see how his connection with Love can develop. That would be really cool to see. And then, of course, I think his designated spot is the Jets. Of course, pairing back up with Aaron Rodgers would really help the Jets. The Jets have been so inconsistent this year. I think that would be a nice spot for him to land, and then pairing him up with Garrett Wilson would be really cool to see. And then help that team out in the long run there, That would be really awesome. I think the Steelers are another good matchup. It seems like Davante Adams really wants to go to a contender. His top choices are the Ravens, Bills, Steelers, Saints, all those teams. I think the Steelers, getting him on the Steelers will push the Steelers up. I'll talk about this a bit more later, but I think the Steelers are an underrated team, and I think he'll help their chances just like so much more if he gets traded there. I think that should be a top option for him there. And then of course the Saints, he paired up with Derek Carr once, and he'd want to. Why not go back there? They have Rashid Shaheed as one of the main options. Taysom Hill just got hurt. I know he's kind of more of like a flexible option, but he's one of their tight ends. The defense, of course, they're still solid. They've been solid for years now. I think that's another option. They're playing above original expectations, and that would be another option for Davante Adams. So, I the preferred option where I think he would have the best chance with is, I'd say, the Steelers or Jets. Pairing back up with Aaron Rodgers, like I said, is a great option, and then the Steelers. To get into the Steelers, I think the Steelers are very much seen as a joke in the NFL and with fans across the league, but I think that's a ridiculous thing for them. I mean, they have not had a losing record since early 2000s. They've at least been 500, and obviously that's due to Mike Tomlin, which a lot of people are like, okay, they've never been exceptional, but they've also never been bad. Last year they were 10-7, 9-8 the year before, and the only thing really holding them back was Kenny Pickett, and now they have Justin Fields, who has been a great option for them so far this year. And then if they want to move on from Justin Fields, they have Russell Wilson, who is a proven veteran. He has been to the Super Bowl, has won the Super Bowl. That's the only thing holding them back. They have a top 5 defense. I think they are one of the more underrated and better teams in the AFC, and I think they'll show that later on in the year, especially with their tough schedule that they have. I think we'll see what type of team they actually are. So super exciting to see that. as mentioned in last podcast, I'm going to talk about last Monday night's games, and we'll get more into it, but the Lions had a really dominant win against the Seahawks. The Seahawks were, prior to that, undefeated still, if I'm remembering correctly, and, there was an offensive game for both teams, and the Lions had an insanely dominant win, and I'll get more on the Lions later, but they looked really good. And then the Dolphins, without Tua, look like a bottom 10, bottom 5 team. I mean, they cannot put it together, and I think a large part of that is due to the offensive scheme that they have. I think a lot of it is built for Tua specifically, and without him, the team is struggling. They don't have running backs to rely on. Davante Adams has played, but I think is fighting through injuries, and then Raheem Mostert has been out for most of the season so far, so it's hard to rely on your running backs when they're struggling with injuries. And then Tyreek and Waddle, if the quarterback can't succeed, they're not going to be getting the ball. They're two of their biggest weapons on the team, and then they're really struggling so far this year with run defense, and that's another problem. I mean, teams have been running all over them so far this year, so it's really interesting. I mean, that shows how valuable Tua is. Stop making jokes about him, right? Like, he's a top quarterback in the league. I personally don't think he should ever play again. His concussions are a major health concern, and it's hard to watch. I mean, it's really sad, and my personal opinion, I don't think he should play again. I think he should retire and value his health and, his family, but I don't know what will happen with that there. Get back onto the Lions. The Lions are the best team in the NFC. And you can have a lot of other teams in the conversation there, but I do believe the Lions are the best team in the NFC and the team to beat. They have one of the best O-lines in the league, even with some of their guys out, I think, last game. Insane weapons, coming into the season, you had question marks with Jameson Williams and other guys there, but Jameson Williams has stepped up and is becoming the player that they drafted him to be. And then they have Amon-Ra, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery. That offense is loaded, and there's not a single team that will be able to cover every single player on that offense. Like, that's just not possible. So it's hard. They're a hard team to prepare for, of course, obviously. And then Jared Goff has experience in the playoffs. He's been to the Super Bowl. Very experienced veteran, and that offense looks insane. And then last year they were good too. They went the NFC Championship game. They're just building on what they already had, and that defense looks better, especially with Aiden Hutchinson. Aiden Hutchinson looks like a top 5 player at his position this year. He looks insane. Then they're a super scary team to play. Of course, you could compare the NFC North. 3 of those teams, Packers, Vikings, and Lions, are all top 5 teams in the NFC. Of course, the Bears, we'll see how they end up faring out. Their defense is keeping them in it. Their offense is slowly developing every single week. So, I mean, by the end of the season, you can say all 4 of those teams, but we have to be patient with the Bears. You have to see how they're doing. I'd say the Bears are a top 20 team in the league right now, but we just got to see where they go. But the Vikings, Lions, and Packers are all scary teams to play against. I mean, the Vikings are 4-0, have insane weapons as well. Like, that is a scary team to go against. They beat the Texans and 49ers, both teams coming into the season that were top 5, still top 10, both teams. The 49ers are struggling with injuries, but they're insane. And the Texans are I'd say living up to expectations. They're having a couple question marks here and there, but 2 insane teams. They're holding opponents. The Vikings are holding opponents to 14 points per game and averaging around 30. So, I mean, no team is going to want to play against that. That's insane. The Vikings defense is playing way better than I expected them to. And then, of course, Sam Darnold is playing like a top 10 quarterback in the league right now. I don't know how long that will keep going, but, I mean, he's not showing any signs of stopping. And then, the Lions are playing insane as well. They're playing really good, as I mentioned. So that's just a really fun division that to, keep watching, keep paying attention to. So that's really exciting. I don't know if I mentioned it, but again, on the topic of the Steelers, I think I got a little sidetracked, and so again, as the title of my show is called, Don't Get Me Going. But if Fields continues to play the way he's playing like a top 15 quarterback. If he continues to play the way he's playing, I don't see why the Steelers can't get a playoff spot and even make a bit of a run in the playoffs. I think they could be really good. The only thing holding them back this whole time was Kenny Pickett, and now he's gone. So, super exciting to see. So, yeah, I'm super excited to watch this week's games and then discuss it on the next podcast. Super exciting to watch. But yeah, I think that's just about all I've got for this episode. I'm gonna try to keep updating here as we go, and thanks for watching. Don't get me going, and I'll see you guys next time.